4 years. That's how long I've been doing this. But before all of that, I used to be just a guy to just be around in this community, you know? Speak with others on Twitter, see what everybody else was up to, ladder occasionally. Nothing special, really. That changed, however, when I met a certain somebody who was about to make his debut in the Season 4 of the Global Battle Association, or shortly known as the GBA. That certain somebody had no reason whatsoever to affiliate himself with someone like me. But yet he did. For some reason, that to this date I still don't know why really, he would always speak highly of me. He would be there for me during a time where I really wasn't the best that I could possibly be. And he saw something in me during a time where nobody thought that I was capable of anything. And now 4 years later, here we are in the World Battle Entertainment. Biggest opportunity that I've ever had in my life. And my opponent? You. You see, Tup, to others, this may just be a regular match with a guy who's currently having a good showing and a guy who's still yet to win a game. But to me, it's so much more different than that, really. Because this is also something that I've been wanting for over 4 years now. And now, all of that becomes a reality. But you see, Tup, I want you to understand one very important thing. I don't want the Tup that's currently 0-6 right now with a very piss-poor differential. No. I want the same Old Man Tup that in the Season 5 of the GBA beat the absolute best. The same Old Man Tup that swept Mega Mogwai in the Season 5 of the GBA and showed everybody that he may be an underdog, but there ain't nobody that he can beat on his best day. And I know for a fact that you have every potential in the world to beat me. So I hope you bring that exact version of yourself, Tup. I hope you bring everything you got in this match, but understand one very important thing, and that is that I have absolutely no intention of backing down. Because this is something that I've been trying to get for over 4 years now, and now that I have it, this is a make or break moment for me. And trust me when I say that even when you bring your absolute best, when you stand in front of me, I will put you out, and I'm one way or another, you, just as everybody else, will know that this is the time for the ultimate comeback. So best of luck tonight, Tup, and may the best man win.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is TheUzigunner, bringing you all my Week 8 of the World Battle Entertainment, where I'm going to be going up against none other than a good brother of mine, aka Old Man Tup. That's right, folks. To anybody that's been following me throughout these 4 years, Tup has honestly been one of my biggest supporters through and through. And honestly speaking, even though I was being a bit too extra with the pre-match promo thing that I just did, I'm really not, making things up when I say that he has done so much for me. Like, of all people that I've met in this community so far, I would say Tup has, beyond a shadow of a doubt, been my absolute #1 supporter, and to finally get to, face him in what will hopefully be a good battle is something that really means a lot to me, So, yeah. And as far as this week goes, unfortunately, guys, I haven't really, been able to dedicate as much time to this per se, because unfortunately, since I just came back to Sydney this week, I've been more or less, resettling myself back here, but at the same time, haven't been really spending my free time too properly because, yeah, as you can see before you, this game in front of you, Fire Emblem Three Houses, has taken way too much of my time. But yeah, enough of the, like, I'm not gonna BS you guys any longer. I'm just gonna let me just get going to it right now. Either way, I'm very excited for this. And with that being said, let me show you guys the matchup here. And just from team preview alone, there it is as clear as day that he definitely has a good number of threats against me, particularly his Mega Charizard X and especially his Roserade. Because honestly speaking, I don't necessarily have the best switch-ins to Roserade possible. And at the same time, my speed tiers are in such a way where Rose can actually, you know, exploit it greatly against me. So I definitely need to play my cards carefully around this Pokemon. But otherwise, I would say that it is definitely manageable. But yeah, like since this is something that both Tup and I have been looking forward to for a great time, I really don't know what to expect going to this. So yeah, let me show you guys what I got right now. So first things first, oh, and before I get into this, I just want to give a huge shout out and thanks to my boy Zazo, who has very much helped me greatly in this week because, again, since I have been lagging time, he more or less pulled through for me and, you know, like really just pulled the reins in on this one. So I'm very much grateful for his work. But yeah, let me show you guys what I got. First things first, we got Edelgard, aka my Mega Aerodactyl with Fire Fang, Stone Edge, Aqua Tail, and Aerial Ace. And this thing's more or less adamant nature because, honestly speaking, this thing puts in a lot of work against him. And I say that because realistically speaking, his only probable switch-in would have to be his Klefki, which doesn't necessarily appreciate a Stone Edge into a Fire Fang. And the same can be said for his other, you know, pseudo switches, which would have to be his Rotom Wash, which will obviously not take on non-resisted Stone Edge too well. So, yeah, this coverage alone more or less ensures that I pretty much hit everything. And I just gotta play my cards right in order to ensure that I'm able to achieve such an outcome, and that is, you know, by, you know, setting myself up in such a way where this thing comes in at as much as possible and just inflicts a lot of damage. So, yeah, the spread that you see before you more or less ensures the fact that Roserade ain't necessarily gonna have a good time against me because Scarf, Leaf Storm, even after Stealth Rocks, will not be able to it KO this spread, which is actually pretty damn sick. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Aqua Tail is here because I hate Tyranitar. Next up, we got Hubert, which is my Metronome Kyurem with Ice Beam, Earth Power, Roost, and Substitute. And now this spread set is more or less going to act as my main switch into his Roserade because again, I feel like this will definitely be his biggest threat against me. And with the spread you see before you, Roserade ain't gonna be doing shit to me anytime, any place, anywhere. Unless of course he happens to be Life Orb, Dazzling Gleam, which is perfectly fine because I'm going to be able to retaliate with an Ice Beam and knock that son of a gun out. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Metronome is really useful here because it just chips down Rotom Wash. I can easily set up a substitute on that thing. And Klefki isn't necessarily going to appreciate, you know, repetitive Ice Beams to the face, especially with my Metronome. And Earth Power is there because, you know, like it's a good form of damage to catch Klefki on the switch in, as well as Tyranitar, assuming I end up locked into the, locking myself into that move. But yeah. Next up, we got Ferdinand, which is my Firium Z Arcanine with Sunny Day, Fire Blast, Solar Beam, and Dragon Pulse. And this is a pretty heat set, I guess you could say. But going into this match, I figured this would, not me and Zazo figured that this would definitely be the best set because, realistically speaking, this is a very sleeper sweeper. Huh, that actually goes together. And this more or less puts in a good amount of work, provided I'm able to not get rid of the Tyranitar of his. Because say I set myself up towards setting up a Z Sunny Day perfectly, I can actually sweep his team then and there, provided the conditions are met. And by conditions, I mean his Tyranitar bites the dust. And Dragon Pulse is there because, I needed a way to hit that Mega Charizard X of his. And honestly speaking, like, Dragon Pulse definitely came off to me as the best move to go for here. Now, next up, we have my Casper, which is my Iwatodai Rhyperior with Earthquake, Stone Edge, Swords Dance, and Substitute. And this set is more or less going to act as my main answer to that Musharna of his, because since my Ghost typing as well as my Dark typing is, I don't have them. This is essentially my best answer towards that threat, and that's more or less why I have Swords Dance here. Substitute is here to more or less act as an initiative towards me, getting myself into Iwatodai Berry range as soon as possible. And with this set in particular, I'm more or less going to guarantee the likelihood of me making sure that Musharna is not going to be able to sweep me anytime, any place, anywhere. So yeah. Now for my final two Pokemon, we have Dorothea, which is my leftovers Tapu Fini, with Moonblast, Icy Wind, Defog, and Taunt, which is more or less here to act as a permanent stop to that Mega Charizard FX of his. And Taunt is here because, I hate Klefki, and it also stops the, potential threats like DD Tyranitar and so on. Obviously, Defog is here because I absolutely need Toxic Spikes off my side of the field, and when you consider the fact that I have 3 Pokemon weak to Stealth Rocks, it's pretty self-explanatory that this is the team that I'm more or less going to have to follow for all the weeks to come, and this week is no exception whatsoever. So, yeah, Taunt is here because it stops Musharna, it stops any other potential setup variant of any other Pokemon. Icy Wind is obviously here because it puts a stopping to Mega Charizard X, and yeah. Now, last but not least, we have my Lindhard, which is my Rocky Helmet Uxie with Psyshock, Reflect, U-Turn, and Toxic. Now, yes, I know that this means that I'm not necessarily going to be running Stealth Rocks this week, which at the same time is pretty irksome considering that he has a Mega Charizard X on his side of the field. But considering I have 3 Pokemon that are very much weak to Stealth Rocks to begin with, I more or less expect myself to keep hazards out of my side of the field more rather than, prioritizing setting up hazards on his side of the field. And when you consider other potential factors such as Tyranitar and so on, and especially his Hariyama, which I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but is definitely a pretty considerable threat against me, I essentially need everything I can get, and in that regard, Reflect does just that for me. So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Toxic is obviously there because Musharna, and, yeah, with the combination of my Kyurem as well as my Casper, which is my Rhyperior, I should be able to take this thing on 1v1. So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of my squad. And with that being said, that's enough of this team builder. And, yeah, let's move on into the game. Alright guys, we are back right now, and as you can see, this is what my boy Tup brought against me, and just from team preview alone, I am so surprised to see absolutely no Mega Charizard X whatsoever, because honestly speaking, that was one Pokemon that I thought for sure was going to come against me, so to not see that but rather see Mismagius in its place really threw me for a loop honestly, considering the fact that since I don't happen to have a Licky with me this time around, this thing automatically becomes a massive threat against me. So, yeah, I very much need to be careful around that. Now, as far as leads go, I very much figured that Kyurem would easily be the best one because, honestly speaking, the only thing that could have threatened me out would have to be that Tyranitar of his. But otherwise, I'm pretty much free to click whatever I want on it with it. So, yeah, for the 3rd week in a row, I'm gonna lead off with just that. I'm gonna be challenged by Pokemon Trainer Tup as he leads off with his Roserade as I lead off with my totally legitimate shiny Kyurem, which is my Hubert. And right now, I make a very bad play, and that is by choosing to expect him to switch out and going straight for a substitute because I figured that by going behind a substitute, I can inflict a lot of damage on that Klefki of his. But no, he just stays in and goes straight for a Sludge Bomb, which very much shows that, he goes for Toxic Spikes and then goes straight for a Sludge Bomb, which very much shows that this thing is what I feared it to be, and that is a Focus Sash set with Toxic Spikes. Now, I make another very massive misplay, and that is by instead of choosing to attack it, I go for a Roost for God knows why. I really don't know what my head was going through at that point in the match. And you're gonna see that come back to bite me big time as he is going to be able to snag a poison on me as I'm going to just straight out knock this thing out with an Ice Beam. And I very much blame myself for this because, yeah, had I just killed this thing when I had the chance, I wouldn't be in this precarious position as what this does is give him a free switch in into his Mismagius, and not wanting this thing to take any damage and seeing that he doesn't happen to have a Hariyama with him, I figured that Uxie would be my most expendable Pokemon, but instead he just goes straight for a substitute, and it is at this point that I realize what set this thing could potentially be, and I am very much worried because he goes straight for a Nasty Plot, and provided that he does happen to possess the Salac Berry with him, this definitely does not bode well for yours truly, as, yeah, he is just gonna pretty much continue to go for a substitute. I'm going to regret pretty much my initial phase in the match because if I just attacked the Roserade then and there, I would have had no reason whatsoever to switch out to begin with. So, yeah, and this Mismagius wouldn't be setting up on my face anytime soon. So, I am now essentially going to reap what I sow as he's going to stay in and make a phenomenal play by expecting me to stay in and go for a Psyshock. As now I'm staring in the face of a +4 Mismagius, and provided and you know, depending on what its final move may be, this thing could outright sweep me. So I'm pretty much just gonna go out in my Tapu Fini because right now this is the only Pokemon that can take any single hit from this thing. And here I'm praying that he doesn't happen to have the Energy Ball or the Thunderbolt with him, as he thankfully does not happen to have that. My Fini is just going to be able to barely take that, and I'm going to be able to knock it out with a Moonblast. And this is very bad for me because what this does mean is that I essentially am more or less not going to be able to get a Defog off. Yeah, I probably should stop saying more or less too so many times, especially when it doesn't make sense in the sentence that I'm trying to utter it in. But regardless, here I'm going to make an aggressive play by going out into my Rhyperior to, you know, catch this thing on a Volt Switch or something, but he pops out the Water EMZ and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing? As he reveals to be Z Rain Dance. So this is a relief, but at the same time a massive cause of worry for me, because what this does mean is that now I'm pretty much going to be forced to sack off a Pokemon of mine, which would have to be my Tapu Fini. As unfortunately, he may have missed his Hydro Pump, but really there's nothing stopping him from going for another move, which I assume to be Thunder, considering he's using the Rain. And what do you know, he does end up being just that, and yeah, my Fini is just going to end up biting the dust. As now I'm pretty much at this point where I essentially need to PP stall the Rotom Wash, or pretty much get myself in a position where I just pretty much just start spamming, like, where I can actually be able to freely go for Ice Beams against this thing. As, yeah, this is more or less going to be a phase which is going to keep on going, which is just me just pretty much keeping on spamming Roost and trying to get myself back in a position where I can inflict damage on this thing. And, yeah, pretty much just scare this thing out, because in case you guys haven't noticed, if my Kyurem dies, Rotom Wash just straight up sweeps me. So, in that regard, I need to make sure my Kyurem stays alive no matter what. And, yeah, like, at this point in the match, I'm pretty much just kicking myself because, again, I pretty much put myself in this position by choosing to make the very bad plays early on in the game. And, yeah, for sure, though, like, Tup is very much, you know, showing great prep, because I definitely did not expect any of these moves going into this match, like Sub-Salak Berry, Mismagius, and, you know, especially Z-Rain, that's Rotom Wash. So, yeah, this is pretty much going to be me just, you know, initiating the defensive phase of the match, because I'm just trying to make sure that I find a way to survive. He unfortunately snags a crit on me, which means that he could actually very well be able to knock me out with the next hit, but thankfully he is not able to achieve such an outcome. And now I'm at this point where I'm pretty much wishing that he switches out, as he thankfully does. I'm gonna go for one more Roost and pretty much get myself back up to a considerable amount of health, which is very good for me, because what this does mean is that Kyurem is definitely going to be able to put in more work in this match, but more importantly, prevent his Rotom Wash from just outright demolishing me. So, yeah, now I'm pretty much just gonna go straight out in my Arcanine just to take whatever hit he's considering going for, really, as he is just gonna make a very good double by going out in his Rotom Wash. And considering the situation I happen to put myself in, I am now pretty much forced to just go pop my Fire EMZ off here and now. As yeah, like Fire Blast definitely would not have knocked this thing out, and neither would have Dragon Pulse, which is why I figured that this would easily be the best play to make. As now what this does is pretty much give him a very free switch in into his Requiem, if that's how I properly pronounce it, which would have to his Musharna, forcing me to go hard out into my Rhyperior, which is my dedicated check to this thing. As, what do you know, he ends up being Calm Mind, and it is at this point in the match where I'm praying that he doesn't happen to possess the Energy Ball with him, because if he does, that would be pretty bad for me. So yeah, I'm just gonna pretty much set up a Swords Dance here, do what this Pokemon was initially built to do, as he does go for a Shadow Ball, which very much shows that he doesn't happen to possess that move with him, which is a very huge sigh of relief for me. As, yeah, I'm going to be able to inflict a lot of damage off on this thing. He is going to go for one more Shadow Ball, which along with the toxic damage, is 110% going to put me in Eye Papa Berry range. And this is actually pretty damn good, because, like, yeah, I definitely need the berry with me if I want to, you know, pretty much to put myself back into the game. As, yeah, I'm just going to go for another Earthquake, knock out this Pokemon, and at this point, it is pretty much like it pretty much depends on what his Tyranitar set in that decides whether he wins or not, as he's gonna go out into his Klefki, and here I expect him to make a to go straight for a Magnet Rise and prioritize going for damage off on this thing, but instead he chooses to attack me, which really perplexed me. As yeah, now my my Rhyperior is going to unfortunately bite the dust. Now, thinking he doesn't happen to possess the Magnet Rise with him, I'm gonna go out into my Kyurem, as now he reveals that he does happen to possess the Magnet Rise with him, and this is so bad for me because now my best option is just pretty much spamming Ice Beam against this thing. So, unless I'm able to knock this thing out and get prior damage on that Tyranitar of his, I don't see myself winning this game, as he just goes straight for another Psychic. I don't necessarily know why he would go for just that, because you're gonna see later on that he actually does have the Flash Cannon with him, which made this play rather perplexing, but he now shows another nice tech in Calm Mind, which more or less ensures that the next Ice Beam unfortunately will not be able to knock this thing out, provided, like, if I had just, just kept spamming Ice Beam instead of going for Earth Power there, maybe I could have been able to knock this thing out, but it is not meant to be, as he is going to be able to take that hit just fine. He's going to go straight for a Flash Cannon and be able to knock me out, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, as now my final two Pokemon would have to be my Arcanine and my Aerodactyl, as here I guess I make a rather boneheaded play by going out into this rather than my Aerodactyl, because, like, yeah, with this 4 moves being shown, Aerodactyl was a pretty free switch in to begin with, as he's gonna go out in his final Pokemon being his Tyranitar, and depending on what set he is, really, maybe I can win, but instead I choose to make another boneheaded play by choosing to go for a Sunny Day for God knows why, as he reveals to have the Rock Polish with him, and with that play, that pretty much seals my fate, as he is going to just go straight for an Earthquake instead of going for Stone Edge, which was also a rather weird play to me, considering that Stone Edge probably would have been better, but either way, I pretty much just shot myself in the foot big time, and right now, there really is nothing for me to do rather than reaping what I sowed, as, yeah, I'm just gonna Mega Evolve, go for a Stone Edge or something. He is gonna go straight for a Stone Edge of his, and just like that, we are unfortunately going to lose 1-0 against Old Man Tup. So yeah, honestly speaking, first things first, I just want to give a huge congratulations and huge props to Tup, because he brought his A game this time around. Like, oh my god, with so much sets that I really didn't expect this time around, he really brought the fight to me, and honestly speaking, that was a very good performance on his end. Like, his predictions with Rotom Wash, positioning himself in such a way so that he was able to exploit such, techs of his. It really shows how much of a great opponent he can be on his best day, and really to be able to fight him on his absolute best is something that I'm very much happy with. Now, as far as, my personal opinion goes on how I played this match goes, I would say that I played the majority of this match to the best of my abilities, but if there's anything that very much shot me on the foot, it's pretty much the beginning turns, because honestly speaking, there really was no reason for me to set up a substitute to begin with when considering how he had a free switch into his Klefki to begin with, and he would have been able to break my sub anyways, and really there was no reason for him to not go for a Magnet Rise to begin with. So, yeah, if by putting things into perspective, had I chosen to just outright attack this Roserade head on, I don't think I would have been put in the position where his Miss Mages would have been able to freely come in and set up a substitute on my face and essentially do whatever it wanted to me. Because, yeah, like, my Kyurem was healthy and especially defensive in nature. So, yeah, other than, the beginning phase of the match, which I think I could have played so much more better than I did, overall, I'd say there really is nobody else to blame but myself for this. And of course, again, by no means am I saying all of this to take away anything from Tup, because, again, he brought some very great prep this time around. Like, see Rain Dance, Rotom Wash. Who would have thought? So, yeah, like, overall, very good game to my boy, very good game to you, my friend. I'm very glad that, I was able to face you at your best. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to face him again down the line. Who knows? But yeah, unfortunately with that, the Bullet Punch Club is officially 2-6. Yes, 2-6 right now, meaning that I need to more or less win every other match that I play here, because yeah, considering how everybody's everybody has a pretty decent record, and provided that I don't really have the best one, I got my work cut out for me. But you know what? I still haven't given up by any means. This definitely was a good learning experience for me, and I will hopefully play my cards much more better in the next upcoming weeks. So, yeah, that's gonna be all there is to it. I'm very much excited to face Aaron, aka Cybertron Zeng, next week. And with that being said, there is nothing left for me to say, other than my name is TheUzigunner. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Push!